Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's raining a little bit here, so I'm going to raise the decibels. I hope you're doing very well. Um, I wanted to bring you this video so we can have a little bit of discussion about that. And then some of you send your questions ahead of time. And then I'm going to go through that, and then you can just post your questions as needed. Anyway, so just checking to know if I can hear you, or you can hear me rather, and then we'll just keep it moving. Okay, Kevin, thanks for coming in. So Messi, thanks for joining us. So I want to talk about foundation problems, right? Because it's coming up. Just to give you some information to know what you look for. Or you can have us build for you and don't have to deal with these problems. So there are many factors, that lead into foundation problems, but the most common one is due to weak bearing soils, poor soil compaction, inconsistent moisture content, maturing trees and vegetation, or what they call soil consolidation. Okay, and so water is the main enemy in expansion soil problems, right? So we're talking about foundation now. This either too much water, right, causing the soil to swell, right? So you have places that the drainage system is very bad, or not enough, causing the soil to shrink, right? Some of the people building in dry areas, right? So the most differential movement is caused by differences in soil moisture, right? So after construction, soil beneath part of the foundation just becomes either too wet or too dry compared to the rest of the soil. Now, what causes soil to gain moisture can come from plumbing leaks, right? Subsurface water, like wet weather, a high water table, or surface water, right? So surface water is the improper drainage of landscape during rainfall and stuff like that. So when it rains, instead of water moving away from your property, they're kind of like moving towards your property. Okay. And then high water table is the level at which the soil and the gravel are completely saturated with water. Okay, so one of the issues we are coming out is a poor drainage system. Okay, we want to address that. So because it's a major contributor to soil moisture gains, especially when you do your roofing, the runoff should be always directed away from your house using the gutters, right? So all roofing system should have gutters. Like when we build roofs, we put hidden gutters in there, and then we can channel it away from the house. So another one too, when you do your gutter sprouts, the downspout, so as you bring the water from the roof to the ground, okay, you want to make sure you are it's being drained away from the foundation, right? Because sometimes what people will do is they'll bring those downspout and it's leaning right against the wall, and the water just pours down to the foundation. It's going to get in there and create problems for you. So you want to slope it in a way. Like my house, what I've done is I bring the water from the roof and I've put it underground all the way to the back gutters, right? So you don't have that. You want to keep those water away from the foundation as possible. Now, another thing that happens to what causes soil loss, in terms of moisture, is like during the dry season, right? Okay, so drought, will cause foundation to settle, right? Settling means that usually, so this is how it settles, like part of the flooring will drop a little bit, okay? Or you can see the lower part of the corners is kind of like cracking and stuff like that. So that is what we mean by settling, okay? Another issue to doing compaction, right? So when we do the foundation, you pour all the sand in there, you want to compact it, right? And when it's not done right, what you happen is like some place are more compact than others. And so when you go in there and you do like your concrete work or German concrete and stuff like that, and if one area is not compact, eventually, it's going to settle and that area is going to drop, right? So you have to make sure soil is being compacted very well. And so what sometimes we do is like we will put soil in there, pour water, let it rain, or we bring a machine and compact the soil. You want to just remove any hollow points in there and stuff like that. Another issue too, which can be problematic, is especially if you are building a bigger house, and you may have one area of the foundation that has a different type of soil. So you might have clay on one side, and then you might have rock and sand on the other side, right? And these two type of soil, deals with moisture differently, right? So you want to be careful about that, making sure that other than that, one area is going to be moisture driven, and then one will be more dry, and then you're going to be dealing with a differential leading to soil settling of the building. Because settling, is also sometimes it's also a distortion or disruption of part of the building due to uneven compression, right, of its foundation. So undue loads, right, are being applied to the building after its initial construction. Okay, so you tend to see that by seeing large cracks on and uneven floors, right? Now, so that is the big thing, right? The foundation thing is so the biggest thing is water and soil, right? So those are the big things. That's the first one, right? So then you have the other thing, which is the steel, rebars and that kind of stuff. How that is going to affect the building itself. So let's assuming your soil, everything is sound, right? Because even if you use the appropriate rebar and and the soil is not taken care of, it's always going to shift, right? And when it shifts, you're going to see the cracks. Some can be, remedied, and sometimes it's like it takes a lot of work to fix that. So that also means that for the rebar, you need quality steel, right? Quality, there's some fake ones in there, because quality actually is better than size. Okay, so you want to make sure that it's very sound. So buy from reputable, steel distributors. Okay. So then after that, then the size that you are going to use based on your building structure makes a really big difference, right? So how we do it in Ghana is 10 millimeter iron rods is used for binding of the rods, right? So usually, when we put the rebars over there, you have to bind them and hold them together. So they use 10 millimeter rods to hold them together, right? 12 millimeter is used to do the pillars, the columns, and the lintel for one level house, right? So one level means kind of like a bungalow type of housing, right? So you're going to use 12 millimeter to do the pillars, columns, and lintel. 16 millimeter iron rods are used for the columns, pillars, footings, foundation, beams for two level buildings. So that means you have one floor and another floor, right? So 16 millimeter. Then 18 millimeter is used for pillars, columns, footings, foundation for like a three-story building or more, right? So why do we need different rebar sizes? Because rebar in concrete provides a uniform structural integrity, right? Even though concrete materials, is very, very strong in compression, it's almost completely devoid of tensile strength, right? So concrete is strong when compact, but it doesn't bend, right? So it doesn't have that flexibility in there, so it will crack. So the rebars hold them together, okay? And so one of the things we also want to factor into the location of the rebars are very, very important, because so not only you want quality rebar, picking the right size, right? And then the locations, you want to make sure like they are evenly spread out, right? So you can't do every 8 feet of spacing and then do every 6 feet at the back, right? Because you want to maintain a uniform structure integrity, right? So you want to make sure the load is spread out evenly, okay? So it's very, very important you do that. And also when you set out the rebars, I've seen a couple of building style in Ghana, which, is kind of like raise some questions for me on YouTube, especially. So you want to do is you want to set up your rebars, make sure they are fixed to the ground, right? Before you start pouring the rest of your concrete, because you don't want them to move. You don't want them to tilt over. You want them to be held firmly. And so what sometimes people do is they'll build the walls first, and then they'll leave this tiny little space to build the concrete, the rebar and stuff like that. So you want to make sure you have enough space to adjust everything, properly. Okay. So soil, right? The where you build, yeah. The soil moisture content is very, very important. The type of soil is very important. Compaction is very, very important, right? Making sure like you don't have variance in terms of soil composition on that land, whether there's clay on one side, there's rock and sand on the other side. You want to keep an eye on that, okay? And using the right rebars and appropriate sizes and quality and spacing and all that stuff. So some people sent me some couple of questions earlier. So one question was about Euro tiles, right? So Euro tiles is just like roofing sheets, or so is a roofing sheet. So basically what it is aluminum zinc coated with stone, right? So I'm going to talk about a little bit about the pros and cons of that. So I'll start with the pros for Euro tiles roofing, right? So the thing is that you have to buy it from outside, right? So I don't even know if it's a pro or con. So we usually get them from New Zealand. We don't work with them anymore, and I'll explain when we get to the cons, the reason why. So you can get them from Europe or even the US, imported. That is the only way you are going to save, reduce the cost, right? And we can provide estimate for wood and the sheets before you can make that decision through our consultation. Okay. Now you get the same benefit as aloe zinc, right? There's not any inherent benefit compared to the other roofing sheets. Okay. Now the cons for Euro tile roofings, they're very, very pricey, right? Involves lots of materials for installation, especially the wood, right? You need more than your average. Okay. It is difficult to install, but we can do it. And one of the disadvantages is that leakages are difficult to trace. So you might want to consider all these things, before you invest in that. So, and then there's another question I also got before the live stream was the pros and cons of building a large home, right? So I know some of you are about to build, and you are thinking about, okay, whether it's worth it and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to tell you I have a little bit of experience in this area because I build what is considered like a bigger house. So I can tell you, what you need to know before you make that decision. The pros of building a bigger house, right? So one, you can grow into it, right? You can grow into it as your family grows, right? You don't have to do renovations, especially on structure, right? So you can grow into it. Okay, you don't need to move as your family size increases, right? So that's a good thing, because sometimes you start with a 2-3 bedroom, family sizes get bigger and you want another house and that kind of stuff. And so another benefit is like flexibility, due to the spare rooms, right? You can use home office. Some home can even allow you to run a business out of the home because of the size. Another benefit, you have space for guests, when they come out of town, place to stay without feeling like everybody's on top of each other. And on average, like larger homes gives you room, to feel like you can breathe in a space like that. So another benefit is you get more storage or capacity, which is nice. And then finally, I would say, someday when you outgrow, the house and you want to downsize, you can sell it and have enough money to downsize to a 2-bedroom or whatever, right? So that's the pros. But these are some of the cons, for building like a large size home, right? Obviously, the one that comes to mind is very expensive to build, right? Can be unaffordable if you overextend yourself. Another con is that unnecessary or unwanted space, which sometimes you experience that when you are not using the house to its capacity, right? So, when you're alone, feels like, oh man, too much space for individual. And on average, higher utility bills, you're gonna be paying more for your AC to cool down the place. And also it's harder to decorate, right? It's harder to decorate. I spent about artwork alone in my house, about $2,000 to do that. And because it's like you want to make sure like you have to factor in the second level as well. So they add up, to decorate. Trust me on this one. So that also means that it's going to cost more to furnish, right? You have more space, and you can just leave them empty. And another thing too, it will cost you more to for maintenance, especially let's say if you have to replace your roof, right? Uh, a 2,000 square feet roofing system is different from like a 4,500 square foot roofing system. And then the bonus one I would add, when you have a big house, your in-laws might show up often, right? That could be a bad thing or good thing, right? It's up to you. So this is one of the things that I wanted to share with you. So I'll go through some of the questions here that I see, and then we will go for the. So can I give you a tour of the house you build? Someday I'll do that, but I think Shanti Queen has done a great job on touring the house when we had to get together in December. So she did an incredible job. So go to her channel, and then you can see over there. So Ashanti Queen, okay, and you can see some of the tour of the house on the inside, okay. So it's gonna... So mold, okay. So mold is a big deal, right? So one of the issues for water treatment system, right? So Kevin, this is a very good important question, right? There's some areas that are like waterlogged, right? And so one of the things like we do is that there's a couple of things. So if it's a waterlogged, that will require a lot of stuff. So chances are you're gonna put laterite over there because laterite can hold water, and then after the rain stops, it can dissipate some of the water into the soil, right? There's another chemical we can use. Then you have to have some kind of dam-proof material that you have to use. And then waterproof cementing. And then after that, when you get to the point that you have to paint, you also have to apply dam-proof material at the base. So we go about 3.5 feet off the ground, and we're gonna do all the way around the structure, both inside and outside. That will prevent the water from rising up. So that is one thing you can do. Another thing, which I think the best way to deal with, there's more water issues, just elevate a house off the ground, do like an open crawl space, right? So, and you just treat the pillars or the footings, and right. So you just treat that, and then you don't never have to worry about the water rising through the concrete to the flooring, right? So there's another benefit of elevator homes, and I think that is a great benefit. Not only it can also help you against flooding and that kind of stuff. So that is why you are seeing the mold build up, right? And this moisture rich area can be a nuisance, right? There have been homes that I've gone to that these things are pushing the tiles, from their place and stuff like that. So and you don't want to find yourself living like that, right? It's just hazardous to live in that kind of environment. So click the like button, okay? Click the like button. Make sure you click the notification bell, because some of you don't get notification when I go on live and stuff like that. So just make sure you're doing that, and let me know if you're getting value for this. So another question: is it better to cast cement for foundation or use a 6-inch blocks? So yeah, well, it's either is fine. When you cast them, I think it's a little bit more expensive than to do the cement blocks, but either way is fine. Some people cast it. I think sometimes they will just cast it, and sometimes they use a 6-inch box, which you take you all the way to the first level, and then the second level you use 5-inch blocks. So either one is fine. And obviously when you do the casting, you're going to be using a lot of cement, right? Cement and soil and stuff like that. But and then you would need wood, right? So you're going to be using wood. So run the numbers and see which one. But either way should be fine. Is it possible to get custom modified floor plans from the original plan sketch. I know what I'm looking for. I just can't find it. Yeah. So, well, ideally, so what is going on with is that so the architectural firm that works with us, it's too bad my architect retired because he would have actually helped you with this because he can take existing plans and then modify it to what you want. But I know that as of now, the plans that are on our website you can modify them, but if you use an external plan from outside, I think what they have to do sometimes is they will need to go get authorization from the architect, and sometimes it's so expensive it's not even worth it. But what I tell people is that we can take a plan, and as you build, you do slide modification. Those we can do. We can do notes, but like what we don't want to do is like move the bedroom from the other side and do that kind of stuff. You need an architect to do that. So placement and that kind of stuff. So I would say, see, it's just go to our. Chances are we will have what you're looking at, comparable on our website. So just go in there first, and then see if you can find something similar, and then you can reach out for them with the modification. It doesn't cost you anything to get a request for the modification, and at least they can come back with you for the quote, and then you can make that decision. So piggyback on the question already, build foundation. How do you remedy that when a soil type is clay? So yeah, so when you already have foundation issues, right? Basically, is depending some areas, right? There are certain buildings that you have clay on the other side, and then like sand and gravel on the other side. So when you have clay, there's a lot of things you have to do. You probably have to got the whole flooring if the flooring are popping out, right? Then you have to you have to put some laterite over there, some waterproof cement. Then you have to put like a damper material. Okay, so you have to do that. Then you have to go exterior. You have to go, so you dig around the foundation outside, and then you have to apply those materials too, inside and outside, right? And then find a way to drain some of the water so it's not stagnant, right? So you may have to maybe create some pipes or slope it. Or sometimes what you do, especially like when you may have to flood that place with concrete and then slope it so when it rains, the water can be channeled outside, right? So there's a series of a bunch of stuff that you have to do to mitigate against that. So I hope that helps. Dennis, thank you. So how are you? This is Liz. I get to talk to you about business, and then maybe we can communicate through email. Yeah. So if it's business and that kind of stuff, just shoot me an email, and then we can talk about that. Yeah. So the rain gutters are really important. They are really important. How we do it is nice because we tuck it in. You don't even see it. From the outside. But you need that. You want to control, right? Because the rainy season is no joke, right? So you want to control the water from the roof. And so how I have mine is um, I have 4 downspout, 2 at the back and 2 in the front. And they all go underground. So I've like put a pipe all the way underground, and I run everything. And I've also I've sloped the front of the house forward, and then the side of the house is going backwards, and the back is also going backwards. On average, you want to do per every foot, you want to go about 1/4 of an inch slope, so to get all the water runoff. In the back, I've done my own gutters and stuff like that. You want to get the water off the foundation as much as possible. So it's not just about building; it's about thinking about all this thing through. So yes, we are currently now doing soil testing, but what we've done, we've built enough homes to know how we have to, and that means that some soil areas for foundation, we may have to remove it and put like a laterite or something like that, which is going to prevent the settling and that kind of stuff. But you have to be paying attention. It's not just about digging, right? You have to be paying attention, rocky places and all that stuff. and then you have to make provisions and then treat those things before you build up. Yes, Alex. Yeah, the biogas and the manhole toilet stuff. So what I'm hearing is the biogas is not reliable. And so I didn't do that, but I'm thinking, so that leaves us about the biodegradable, and then the septic tank or the sewage tank, the manhole we call it. And so I would think, so the challenge for the challenge for so I'll talk about lost. I just letting my train of thought. I'll talk about the septic tank. So the septic tank, I think, when done properly, is good. The thing you want to think about is you want to run your sink water, your shower, you want to run it like outside. Like outside means it's not going to the septic tank, right? So you have to channel that off to some gutter, some kind of like soccer weight thing, that people do. And so then what usually is going to the septic tank is just the toilet, right? So that also will prevent how quickly you have to empty that. Usually it's going to take a long time to do that. So on average, you are using about 20 times amount of water you are using for bathing compared to when you flush the toilet single time. So you want to make sure your plumbing system, you have this diversion, right? And stuff. The challenge with the biodegradable, okay, is that you still have to drain the water out, right? And so what do you do? Do you put it way underground somewhere, hoping it can, dissipate into the soil somewhere, or you have to drain it out into some gutter? If you do into a gutter, it's gonna the smell eventually is gonna you can smell a little bit. It's not unbearable, but that is not the most hygienic. So I think I'll reevaluate for the second build to see what other technologies available. And then, but right now I'm leaning towards septic tank, you know, that kind of stuff. So how would that work for structure with a flat roof design in regards to the rainy season? What measures can be taken? So even when you do a flat roof design, you will still have to tilt it. You still slope it a little bit because for the second build, it would be considered like a flat roof. But it will still be tilted. And then what you do is usually the flat roof, right? So the roof is kind of like in the middle, and on the side there's this concrete work, and you have to slope it very, very well. So from the outside it looks like flat, but when you go to the roof and you can see there's a deep slope, and then you put pipes. Do not run the pipes through inside the wall from the roofing, because sometimes when there's a problem, it will clog eventually. Some debris is gonna get in there. Um, and sometimes when it happens, it's very difficult for you to trace it to know where it's clogged. So run it outside the building and stuff like that. So even with a flat roof, you are still sloping it slightly. Okay, you want to get water off as soon as possible. So what I had from the biogas, one of the issue was that, I mean, because you need a power supply to burn out the material, right? And that was not very effective. It kept breaking down. So maybe down the road, they'll find a way to remedy that. But you don't want to have plumbing issues, man. There's certain things you just don't want to be, having plumbing issues, and ideally too, you want to find a way that you have multiple ways that you can connect to the main sewage tank, whatever. Because if one pipe is like clogged somewhere, you don't want it to just, shut down the whole house and stuff like that. So it was going to do a couple, maybe there's 2 to 3 ways that is connected to the sewage tank. So if one side is clogged, something is happening, the rest of the house can also be used. Okay. So a little unrelated foundation. Why is it that there isn't many houses built with central water heater? So the challenge, right? So look at it this way. I think one of the issues with central heater, which I even was thinking about it, is that the power surge, right, in Ghana is no joke. It's like I have like a transformer that stabilizes the power, but even that, like, sometimes that, the especially when the light goes off, that power that's coming in, and some of the system we have here are so sensitive, right? They can't deal with that fluctuation of power, and that thing is going to get fried, right? So why, under normal conditions, everything works, I think it would be the better option to make sure you don't have this individual water heaters in the bathrooms. You just really have to be really, really careful. And also then the question becomes, when it breaks down, which all things will eventually, you know, can it easily be repaired and that kind of stuff. And so I'm gonna look into that again for the next build and stuff like that. But I think one of the things I went with the individual one is, if something happens, I can just go to the next room and take a shower and get my hot water and stuff like that. So it's just the power as a way of just destroying appliances, and you really, really want to be careful. Okay, so when you buy kind of like a step down transformer and stuff like that, step up, step down, you want one with a stabilizer in there, like a huge stabilizer. So mine's like 20,000 volts, and I have two at my house. So when that power is coming in, it's kind of like slowing down a little bit, because even that I still damage my fence, my fence electronics. I had to replace it twice. So these things are no joke, and so you want to make sure it's going to work there. So, or get one which has a power stabilizer in there. Okay. What lessons have you learned based on lockdown experience about home building and security, right? So the lessons I've learned, right? So which means also too is, garden is becoming really important, right? So whatever you build, factor in your place, because you can get your grains and all that kinds of stuff. But chances are the produce are the things that will send you to mingle with a crowd, right? In terms of when you need to go to the market and stuff like that. So, and also tells you that, maybe, you have to think about security, because some people are going to lose job. They're going to be desperate. People who are natural criminals, all of a sudden, because of the circumstances, may start entertaining that option. So you have to start thinking about that, and that becomes really, really important as you build, and where you live, and how you build the structure to be able to deal with that kind of stuff. But a garden, have that garden is very, very important. You can plant your produce, and pick them, store them, and then they only go to mingle when the need is necessary. So let me see. So solar power. So solar. So yeah, solar becomes really important, right? Is the other thing is, it can be really expensive. But I would say build quality, start with quality solar systems, not just the roofing. Some roofing, so the thing you have to know that the sheets all produce different capacity, right? And so ideally, you want to get the most minimum sheets to get the most power, right? Other than that, you don't want to have like 30 roofing sheets all over, right? Aesthetically, it's a little bit weird. And so get the minimum sheets that's going to produce the power for you, generate the capacity for you. And then plan to just build, right? If you want to put the AC right there, it's going to cost you. So maybe you might have to take the AC off right away, and then just build for just the appliances, the fridge, and the lighting system, and stuff like that. And so, but it is expensive. But I'm not, the thing that I'm surprised is that, you know, as a nation, we are not really, really investing in solar, to like maybe offer solar credits and stuff like that, tie it to the grid, in which we sell some of the credit back to, like they do in other countries, right? It's just, it's a weird thing. I just don't understand, because Ghana sits on a place that produces a lot of radiation from the sun, so we can really produce a lot of solar power. So maybe I should be president. Anyway, that's the thought. Okay. So I'll try to go scan this quickly to make sure I don't miss any questions in here. And so you can put the questions in as you come in. So like I said, building is very important. You don't want to, suck. And I tell you this, it sucks. Like you want to, when you wrap it up, you want to enjoy it before things start breaking down. You don't want to feel like you're always doing stuff right away and stuff like that. So that's all I'm about. Foundation, right? Foundation is important, right? It will live if you have a good foundation for anything. It's just a philosophy of life. The success is greater in everything else you want to do. So I hit that hard because a lot of the builders are struggling in this area, right? Because they're not detail oriented. Like they just build like how they build, right? But every area is different. Every area has its own needs. There's flood zones, there's wetlands, there's dry areas. There's all kinds of stuff that you have to factor out in there. And so we like the details because it matters, right? And you're working hard for your money, and we want to make sure we build something that is you're gonna enjoy and be happy with. Okay. So Abubakar, yes, we do go to the North. And I've always wanted to go to the North, so I want an excuse to go there. So yes. So we go. So pretty much, we will do anywhere in Ghana. We've done Volta, Eastern region. We've done West a little bit. We've done Cape Coast. We've done Accra. And so whatever the need is, we just take the guys over there. We plan. We stay there. With the guys. We finish the job, and then we head back to wherever we came from. So, so we will go and do that. But the things we do is like. We are a little bit different. We want to educate you. We want to just bring you on board. Let you know what we are doing. It's just and ask that you engage because it's an investment, right? It's an investment, and we want to make sure that you know what is going on. We trust that we will do things with honesty and stuff like that. But even that, we still say keep your eyes open and be vigilant and keep your eyes on stuff and so anyway. But speaking of that too, last time I talked about some architect. There was a question about using the Ghanaian architect. You see, and the thing is, I'm all for using our own people, okay, but they have to meet a standard, right? The issue is that do not drop the standard for anybody. I don't care if it's your older brother, older sister who's the architect. They can't meet it. They can't meet it. It's just the way it is. This building thing, treat like a business, right? So treat like a business, and it's like that is the only way you are going to see it through. Oh, super chat, the first super chat, Messi, thank you very much. 50. Wow, that's a big deal. Thank you. Thank you very much. And so treat it like that. The emotions are important, right? Excitement is very important. You need that, but the mind must override that. Okay. The mind must have to be methodical. And then in the side, when you do the foundation, that's excitement, right? You build to lintel level, that's excitement. You get to roofing, big excitement. You do plastering, you get real excited. You do windows will jot you out. The moment you do windows, you're like, man. And then you start doing like, you start thinking about the finishing and all that stuff. It's like you will get excited. You see, that thing that's going to move you to the next stage. But that doesn't mean that you get so excited that you forget some of the details. And so talking about the architectural thing, what happened was that the lady wanted to design a home for, it was a 2-plot, 100 by 70. It's kind of semi-detached. And you would not believe this. So usually when you give the dimension to the architect must work within the dimension. So you can say, okay, this is where the road is facing, this is that kind of stuff. So the person oriented the house, and basically what it is when you come in, you are driving to the side of the house. Both the front and the back is facing the road, right? It makes no sense, to do that. And then they told them, okay, this is not going to work, obviously. Flip it. So then what they did, I was very, very surprised. So the width is 70 feet. The plan they gave was 70 feet, right? So 70 feet. So then how do you get to the back? And they were told that you only need 5 inches on each side. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. Okay. You can't have that design, right? So the challenge with our people sometimes is that they don't want to be creative, They don't want to be creative. They just want, and sometimes they have this plan that they're trying to push it on you. And my thing is that when you give them the dimension, they must be able to produce what you want. It shouldn't be something you're fighting with if you're fighting with your architect, there's a problem. Okay. They should be able to, if the footprint of the dimension has more depth, that means the floor plan should go more depth. You still need, I would say, minimum 5-7 feet on the side, minimum. Okay. And they have to extend that. And so they have to deliver. And if you are fighting with them, that is a first flag, okay, to just check your options. And don't send the money in. They should be, they should give you some rough thing, because they can just give you how it's gonna lay out without the dimensions and stuff like that before you put your money out there. But they must deliver what you want. That's what you're paying for, because it's gonna matter. You want something, you want a home, right? Everybody build houses, we build home. At the end of the day, you want a home that you can feel that meets all your needs, okay? So that is what you want. So what would be the price of having 2 units on one lot? I would like to build one myself. So if you want to do 2 units, right? So probably, so it depends. If you want to do like you can do like an L shape, right? So you have to, or depending on the footprint of your plot, okay, you can do L shape, or sometimes you can just do more like too narrow, so depth, narrow houses and stuff like that. But once you get the footprint of the land, then you can work. So the challenge will be more like the width, right? Because you don't want the houses like, your moms get out in 5 feet, they're like in your living room and that kind of stuff. So your dimensions, whether, because some land is 70 by 100, some is 100 by 70. So you have to be careful how you read these things, right? Very, very careful. Other than that, you may get a blueprint of a house that is not going to align with how your house look. So I would say get a house first, get a plot first, see how it look, the dimension, then you get a blueprint to make sure it's going to fit. Because what you're looking at is, where is the road, right? So obviously the road is where you want the entrance. And sometimes your blueprint is not going to fit. So you may have to get a different plan. Yes. So, like Esther said, don't let them. Your architect should not be forcing anything down your throat. That's a red flag. They should not be doing that. They should be delivering what you want. Okay. They should be giving ideas and say, yes, okay, this is good. If we move this thing away, that'll give us another look. They should be doing that. They shouldn't. This is what they're doing. They have some plan, 3-4 bedroom plans over there, and then they're gonna say this is what you should do. They are not being creative. Okay. I've looked at some of the Ghana plans, and I'm not even an architect, and I think I can pull it off. Okay, it shouldn't be like that. It should be something that when I look at it, I'm like, okay, I cannot do this stuff, or you cannot do that kind of stuff. So the 5 inches thing, it just didn't make any sense. I mean, even once you even put the fence wall, there's no room. Only like a lizard can go through that space. And so these things are just like ridiculous. So this is some of the things that we talk about that you don't have to put up with it. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So even so, like for example, right? Let's say they give you a plan, right? They give you a plan, and they don't give certain details, right? in the foundation, the footings, that kind of stuff. We already built, so we know. Like we know if it's two-story building. So forget about what details they put over there. We're gonna build to the standard that's gonna be structurally sound. The issue is that some contractors will just go on what is on the blueprint, the dimensions, right? And what if that is wrong, then you start having some problem, right? So we know that, okay, if it's a story building, we know, okay, once we deal with the soil stuff, we know what kind of rebars we're gonna use. So it's just if it's a fence wall, we know what we're gonna do. So regardless of if they put a wrong dimension of rebars over there, that is not going to influence us because we have a way of building structurally sound buildings, so we can negate that. The most important thing you are looking at for is more like the layout and then stuff like. So even if they give you some terrible plumbing, we will fix that. If the electrical scheme doesn't make sense, we will correct all that stuff because the guys are certified. They know what to do. Chances are, guarantee you, we're gonna add more electrical outlet for you. We're probably gonna add more lighting because you will need more lighting than you think it is. So those are things that, and it's not really costing you extra per labor. So we might maybe have to get more materials and stuff like that. So even with kind of like not structured sound blueprint, we will remedy that. We'll see it. We'll see it. We look at it. We say, okay, we know what we supposed to do, and we go to work. Okay, so share the videos. Because a lot of people need it. Make sure you're subscribing. Okay, because people are reaching out to me, and so let's put it out there, and so we can help people. We don't know who needs it right now. A lot of people are strategizing after the corona situation, to build stuff like that. So they will need this information to help them. The more stories, the crazy stories are coming up, and family members and abusing the money, and still going on. I'm surprised this thing is still going on. My goal is at least to let everybody hear that they don't have to do it, but then if they choose to use a family member, at least they got another input. And so that is what is the most important thing to me about you just forwarding the videos and that kind of stuff, because YouTube is restricting certain videos, especially the ones that is productive to our people, and the nonsense ones are being recommended for viewership. So I need all of you to help me, spread the word, in that kind of stuff, and just patronize with us. It's like we just wrapped up the fence wall in Kwewu, and we hopefully we start the building next month and stuff like that. So we can help you. We can help you. I have no doubt. I have no doubt that whatever you have, we can deliver. So just take advantage of it, because there's other things too that I'm involved in, other business opportunities I'm doing, and I would love to be on YouTube. I would love to dedicate a lot of time for this discussion and stuff like that. But life never knows. Something might happen and boom, and then my time may be limited. And so I would say let's take advantage of all the opportunities and stuff like that. Um, and stuff, so we can execute. We can really execute, no doubt about it. We believe in what we're doing, and then let us know how we can help you. Okay, reach out to us, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. So if someone wants to build 2 bedrooms, one, two, build something, 3 bedrooms, one to live in, order to rent. So it depends. So ideally, if so obviously the flooring, right? So basically, it can be, depending on the sizes you want to build, can make the 2 houses more expensive, or the story building more expensive, right? But I would say, like, if I have to do it again for rental, unless you do like apartment style, like that is a well defined, but to build like my house, the way it's set up, like I wouldn't, it's not good for rental if I'm living there. You know what I'm saying? So even when I do Airbnb, the time that I'm there, I block it off because it's kind of like a home. There's space enough to rent, but it's just like there's one entrance, to everything, stuff like that. So if if you want to do like the two-story, then do it more like an apartment. There's multiple entrances, and so when you leave, you can just close yours off, and your rent and your tenant can still have access to theirs through maybe another entrance. So do it that way. Other than that, maybe do like two small homes. That's one option, but it will varies on certain conditions. Yeah, so the plot size 140 by 120 would do. That's enough space to do that. Um, so land, right? So land availability and is land is a big deal. It's a big deal. We are dealing with a company right now. We are helping them to run the business effectively. They're fighting with us sometimes, but I think we're gonna win because we bring a lot of money on the table to buy land from them, so we have some leverage over there. Because sometimes the process is not effective, so it looks like you do something shady, but it's just a terrible way to do business. And so I would say, whereas individual, the search is very, very important. The search is very, very important because that will just make it or break it to proceed. And if the search comes back, usually the person's name that you find, according to the law in Ghana, who has the title is the owner of the land. Okay, that's the owner of the land, not the person that is trying to sell it to you. Because when you go to do a transfer, only that person can give indenture and it will be transferred to your name, right? So his uncle, his boyfriend, girlfriend cannot be selling the land and it's not in their name, right? So make sure the search comes back. You are dealing with a person that is on the title. Okay. And so even just because they're in a state doesn't mean that they are not doing some funny business. They are, some of them. We call some of them. They are doing that kind of stuff. So and then what's sometimes happens, like some of these states are charging a lot of money because you are paying for quote unquote the lack of stress issue or legitimacy and stuff like that. Miss, we thank you. Yeah, and if you can go there, go there. Like we do, so we do have a service. We do a little bit of that, like in which maybe we can, but we do the true consultation and stuff like that. In which, like, we can go take a look, and then advise as needed. We've done that, and I suggest when you are going to Ghana, we can link you up with somebody who's qualified, who knows the system, and then they can come with you. Obviously, there's a service fee for that, and then they can help you, right, with what is going on. Because trust me, we've visited a couple of places that they didn't even own the land and they were trying to sell it and stuff like that. But one of my goals is eventually we'll have our own land that we can, remove this hassle, right, and stuff like that. But we're still working on it. We're not there yet. My land is 100 by 122 of them. Okay, so 100 by 122 of them, and the rooms are 6 bedrooms. Okay, so Instagram. Let me put. I think that is GH. Yes, I think that is IG. I don't have Twitter. I don't think I need one. So, do you mind sharing the price at which you got it? Oh, so that land was bought many, many years ago. I think it was $6,000 for an acre. So it's an acre at that time. So you don't, not in Accra right now. you can get, as you go some of the regions, you can get more than 6,000, less than $6,000 for an acre. But that was a long time ago. I think about like 15, 16 years. Yeah. Is it possible to wire entire house in Ghana with 12 gauge wire? Is it prison? Yeah, you can wire, but it depends. The challenge will be, so it's like, so what is the quantity? So I think about buying the wires from here. So the quantity, and we can do that too. We can come in there, the electrician can come in there, and then we can give you materials, quantity for the wires, and they are going to be different, right? Depending on what you are going to use for, right? Like the wiring system for your CCTV is going to be different compared to your wiring system for the lighting and that kind of stuff. So it depends what you want and that kind of stuff. But usually the wire is like, before we even get to the wire, there's like 2 other phases for electrical work before we get to the wiring. So my current house, I have a little bit combo of 110 and 220. I have some of them. Is it every room? At least the living room, the kitchen. So the kitchen, I have that. Both kitchens have that. The master bedroom, we have that, and then but not this thing. But for the second build, I'm gonna go almost like dual system. So every area will have that in there. Yeah. And basically, you just run both through the same piping, and then you just do 2 separate junction box, and then put them in. Okay. So I don't want to keep this thing too long. Messi, thanks for the super chat. It's awesome. So I hope this helps you well. And then so take care, and a pool. So I would do CH. I'll do a pool video. I'm working on that and stuff like that. The pros and cons, and what you get for the valley, because there's about 3 kinds of pool you can build. So I'm working on that. Give me a couple of weeks. I'm about 80% there and stuff like that. So, but we don't do pool. We know some people that do, but so okay. But anyway, thank you very much. I didn't want to keep this thing too long, but you guys had some great questions, and I wanted to make sure I'm covering everything. So I want you to have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the week. Stay planning. Be hungry. And always remember, you can have the life that you want. Okay? Thank you very much.